Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, March 5th. It is 6:24 right now. We got market opening up in about 6 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick, and we'll get started shortly with our analysis for today. It's got a few things here to update, and we should be good to go. Um, Looks like we are good to go here. So let me get this link sent out to you guys here in the premium. Link is sent out. The YouTube link. Looks good. So as people join in, I'm going to go ahead and start marking up liquidity over here. That's the 8 hour. Down to the 4 hour. Down to the 2 hour. Down to the 1 hour. On down to the 30 minute. Down to the 15. Down to the 10 minute. And back down to the 1 minute here. There's a lot of liquidity sitting up top. Like a lot. All right, guys, looks like we are good to go. So, all right, guys, good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, March 5th. It is 6:28 right now. We got market opening up in about 2 minutes. Let's see what's here so far. Morning, Christian. Morning, Lila. Morning, Maria. Morning, everybody. We'll know the direction of the breakout shortly in about a minute. It's looking like it's going to be a sell for today. Looking at the overall direction of trend, 4 hours bearish, 1 hour is bearish, 30 minutes bearish, 10 minutes bearish, 5 minutes bearish, 1 minute bearish. Everything's bearish here. You can see the same movement from yesterday. And we'll kind of see what ends up. Might be looking for some sells today. The breakout for today is looking like a sell. One thing to look out for is if the prior candle to open is too large, then you typically want to go ahead and flip that. You don't have to flip it, but that's typically what happens if you know the candle prior is too large, which happens sometimes. So we got market opening up shortly right here. Again, if the candle is more than 50 points, typically you want to flip it the other way. Otherwise, you can just take it as is. So looking at this here, we have price projecting off the point of control right here. On the 1 minute. Also have price projecting off the point of control on the 30 minute, or this is the four hour actually. Let's go back on the 30 minute. is also rejecting off the value low and then point of control. So the sells here look like they can be valid on open. Obviously, we'll see what happens here in a few moments when market opens up. Again, this candle here might be a little too big, but it's looking okay so far. We got market opening up in about 5 seconds. 2, 1, market is open. So there is the direction of the breakout for today. It is a sell, currently running in profit. We'll go around and take a look and to see what happens here. Again, like I said, the breakouts are kind of tricky, especially in a market like this, because there's just a lot of uncertainty. People are obviously just chasing the sells, but chasing the sells aren't always going to cut it for this type of market. We have liquidity over here just got knocked out. Liquidity down below got knocked out too. I'm going to leave that open there just for now, as we let the market here kind of break a little bit. For the breakout, it might be easier or it might be better to adjust TP stop loss to something wider if the market keeps moving like it did yesterday. So what's going to happen a lot is that there's going to be a lot of these whipsaw type movements where you can easily get stopped out either direction. So I think the 50 points might be a little too small if the range gets too wide. Price pushing up and coming back down. We got liquidity down here that got hit. I'm gonna leave this up right now because it hasn't pretty much wiped it out yet. It's kind of just came down and grabbed it, and then now it's kind of pushing around from here. Again, taking a look at everything here, we'll have to keep looking for some more confluences here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this a line here, a black line, so that I can see when price comes around and rejects off the point of control. Same with this one right here. So we do have some upwards rejections, but at this very moment, obviously you want to wait for the new rejections to come up, right? Looking over here at volume profile, we have rejections from the bottom end. Right there down at the value low. Looking over here at the clean chart, we have rejections on both ends. We have rejection right here off this whole number at the 600 price point. We also have rejections down here at the 550. So ideally, looking at this here, price is really just ranging and consolidating within this middle zone right here. It's a 50-point range, a lot of fake outs in both directions. So you get a fake out from the top end over here, and you get some fake outs from the bottom end down here. So again, I would just wait for the market here to kind of, I would say, stabilize a little bit before you start looking for any entries here. Hey, Brock, morning. Christian said about news today. I'll mark up the news as well, so we can kind of see where the news was over here. Hey, Sam, morning. Looking over here at the SR chart, I'm going to mark up some SR zones. Yeah, you guys can see here, the market's super choppy on open. So I'm gonna let it breathe a little bit before I even start looking for any scalps. So there are the SR zones right there. You can see price is pretty much ranging and consolidating between this resistance and this support. Kind of similar to the clean chart. It's a back and forth move right there. Here's the clean chart. Like I said, it's ranging and consolidating between the 600 and the 550. It's a 50-point range right now. Some good things that we do see here is that we do see some rejections off the top end. So we'll kind of wait and see what happens here next. Yeah, there's not much else here to really look at or take right now. So let's give it some time, guys, for this here to choose its direction. But looking at this here so far, let's go ahead and switch back to our reversals. So looking at this so far, we currently have the buyers in control, of course, right? We have the sellers in control right here. And then we have the buyers back in control right here. So obviously we're looking for some buys here. There's an MPSV2 or actually it's not running yet. We got to wait for that retracement and confirmation. Buyers back in control right there. Sellers in control right there. All right, so we're getting a pretty strong bullish push right here. Take a look at the trend bias again. So looking at the trend bias, we're getting a huge bullish push right here. The higher time frames are still bearish, 4 hours bearish. You can see prices below the pivots, trend meters red, pivots are angling down. Same with the 1 hour, same with the 30-minute, same with the 10-minute, but the 5 and 1 over here are starting to push to the upside. The thing that you want to be careful for is you don't want to chase the bullish push, right? The thing with this is that this can easily come all the way back down, right? Reject off the sessions and come all the way back down. There is an MPS V2 starting to set up right here, but it's going to be at the session, so it's not going to be a clean entry. If you guys want to take it, I'll mark it up for you guys, but obviously it's not a trade that I'm looking to take here. We have a buy signal, price pushed up. This is going to be the retracement candle if it closes red. And if the following candle is green, that's going to be the MPS V2. The only problem is that you're going to be right here at the sessions, which is an area of manipulation, right? So, I mean, this is like a take at your own risk type trade. Let me check the calendar real quick to see the news for today. So looking at the news for today, so there was high impact news at 5:15. I'm going to mark that up. And we have more news coming up in about 9 minutes at 6:45. So 5:15 high impact news event, which was this pretty crazy candle right here. So again, if you guys want to take the MPS V2, take it at your own risk, guys. I'll mark it up for you guys, but I'm not going to take it myself because it is a tricky entry. We have news coming up right here at 6:45. S&P Global Services PMI, inflation news. Then we have more news over here at 7 o'clock. We have ISM Services PMI, and then we have crude oil inventories at 7:30. So we got quite a few news events today. Obviously we're going to try to maneuver through those news events and take trades where we can, but we're not going to force any trades here. We never force any trades here. Like I said, you gotta be smart and you gotta be patient because these markets are going to screw with you. All right, so no entry here for the MPS V2. We have a huge red candle. Price is coming on its way back down, kind of like where we're expecting price to go. Looking like we might have the sellers back in control right here. So let me go ahead and mark that up. This just came down from this high point about 60 points. So I'll put the sellers back in control right here at 6. Actually, not yet. I'm not going to put them in control yet until we have that confirmation that, this MPS V2 has not closed yet. If this candle here closes green, guys, this is going to be an MPS V2, but it is going to be at the news price right here, this pink line. You can see how price is rejecting directly off it. Again, that's another red flag considered an area of manipulation. So depending on how this candle here closes, if it's green, it'll be a buy entry for an MPS V2. If it doesn't close green, then you got to continue waiting for that green candle to come up. So again, it's a waiting game for us right here. A lot of red flags. If this does close green, though, this is going to be an MPS V2 if you guys do want to take it. Another thing to be careful for is the ATR. ATR is very high right now, 35. If the ATR continues to be high like this, you might have to adjust our TP stop loss to something a little higher. So there goes the MPS V2. It's currently running. I'm not in this position. Like I said, you can see where it's rejects directly off the news price. That's why we don't take trades at these lines, these dotted lines, because they can be a possible area of manipulation. So full TP right there, if you're going for the 30-30, it's still running. And there you go, full TP for a 30-30. Like I said, if you want to adjust your TP stop loss because the ATR is a little high, you can. What I'm using is a 30-30 TP stop loss like this, but my trailing stop is at the 20. So if it reaches 20 points right here, my stop loss gets moved in profit. And I continue holding it until I get to the 30. So full TP right there on that MPS V2. It was a red flag, so I didn't take it. But if you guys did take the MPS V2 right there, full TP for 30 points. So we'll keep looking for, the next opportunity right here. Nice. Sam got the break and retest for 30 pips, 30 points. Solid. So we got price pushing up right there a little further. We have a nice rejection right here off the value low. So the bias here could be valid. I mean, that entry right there would have been nice if we had, if we had, if there weren't any red flags here. But yeah, the buy entry right here was pretty nice. It no drawdown, basically, just went straight up. We had a nice rejection off the value low right here, or the value high actually. No, this is the value low, it's green. So a rejection off the value low right there off the 1 minute. Nothing here off the 30 minute right now. It's currently at the value low right now, actually. Right there. Yeah, so there were quite a few confluences here for that buy. We had the rejection here off the 650 price point. We had a rejection right here off the resistance turn support. We had a rejection off the value low right there. So about 3 confluences there for a buy if anybody decided to take that trade there. Like I said, it's considered a red flag. It was a high impact news event here at 5:15 this morning, caused this huge drop. Now we got price pushing up over here. Liquidity just got taken. And we'll see what happens here. Nice. Yeah, Sam said I took your entry too. Thanks, Sean. Yeah, definitely, Sam. Nice work. I was kind of tempted to take this entry here. The thing that I didn't like about this was the candle movement. See how this candle right here is kind of like iffy? Like it came down at the last second, that this green candle right here, the entry candle. And I don't like when that happens, right? I like when the candle stays pretty solid and smooth. Right here, obviously that wasn't the case. So I'm just playing it safe. Obviously I'm playing it safe. We got news coming up right here at 6:45. So we'll see how that reacts, how price reacts to that. And we'll go from there. It's a high impact news event, guys. 6:45 S&P Global Services PMI. It's inflation news, so we'll see what happens with that. Check out CNBC's breaking news for today. All right, so a little update up here with the tariffs. It says Trump's tariffs live updates hope for Canada compromise, while China says it's ready to fight. So we'll see. I feel like there's going to be some sort of agreement, guys. Honestly, I think there's going to be some sort of agreement. So Mexico is meeting with Trump on Thursday, and Trudeau is going to meet with Trump today. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some sort of agreement. It's just these tariffs are going to be crazy. But this is going to be the case, I think, for like the rest of basically for the rest of Trump's presidency. It's going to be a lot of back and forth, right? He's going to say he's going to do something. Other people are going to say they're going to do something. And then at the end of the day, they're like, we're not going to do it after all. We're just going to agree to something together. It's just, politics. So that's why we're seeing a correction here, right? We're starting to see a correction here on YM. We had YM drop pretty heavily here on yesterday. And then it's pretty much back to where it was, right? We had this huge drop here. People got scared. Dip was bought. Price stabilized around this middle area. Dropped a little further. And then now everyone's like, oh, we're going to have conversations about not having these tariffs. And now price is going right back up. So this is good for us because we get volatility, right? We want the volatility. So for most people, like for myself as well, I have longer term investments, which I'm holding on to. Yesterday was a pretty red day for me on my investment accounts. It wasn't a huge drop, but I dropped about like maybe 7% on the account because of these big dumps, but then they corrected back up towards the end of the day. So it's just, it's a different type of market. I think this is a good market for a scalper, for traders like us, because we're able to get into these moves very quickly, right? We just get in and out quickly, don't really have to deal with too much market manipulation and stuff like that. As long as we stay away from certain areas, we can get in and out quickly and be done with our trades. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm hoping, this back and forth does continue to happen throughout the year because it's going to assist with our ability to get into these trades. So we got price right here rejecting off the value high on the volume profile. We don't have any rejections here off the market profile on the 1 minute, at least not yet. So we have one confluence here, rejection off top of the volume profile. We don't have rejections up top here with the clean chart. We have rejections on the bottom off this whole number, the 750 price point. Looking at the SR, we don't have any rejections up here yet. I think price is going to continue to climb. Looking for a possible break and retest. Come up, come down, come right back up. Or the opposite, price retrace, come back up, bounce off, come back down. Right? I need to get some more confluences here. There's not enough confluences here for me to want to take any trades at the moment, whether it be a buy or a sell. We have a rejection right here again, like I said, off the 750. We got opposite rejection, so I can give it some time. I want to see here if this comes back down below this value low, then possibly price might continue dropping. But like I said, we got news right here at 6:45. I'm gonna mark this up as a news price. Time pack news, so we'll see how price reacts to it. News event right here was it's still loading. Yeah, exactly. Sam said, just noise for your faint heart. Just stay calm. Americans always win at the end. Yeah, you know, that's definitely the way to see it, because you know the thing is a lot of these countries are trying to fight back, but they need America more than America needs them. You know, it's just facts. It's not that Americans think they're better. It's facts. That's how it is. And I mean, unfortunately, a lot of countries wouldn't survive in a situation like that. So the ISM, the final services PMI was positive, guys. We'll see how market reacts to it. Positive news right there. And yeah, Christian said, yeah, I believe he's making those moves to get them in a position of negotiating. Yeah, I agree too. He wants them to step down, you know, he wants them to bow down and basically agree to whatever things that we want. And the thing is, they're going to have to eventually, right? Like a lot of these countries are like they're saying that it's not going to affect them too much, but it is. It's going to affect them in a while. It's going to affect us too, but it's going to affect these other countries a lot worse, right? So we'll see. I mean, it's a crazy circus that we currently live in right now, but you know, it is what it is. We really don't have much control over it, and it's unfortunate, but we really just don't have too much control over it. So I would say the sellers are somewhat in control right here. I'm looking for a sell signal, so I would like to see a sell signal come up here. If the sell signal comes up, we'll say that the sellers are back in control right now. It doesn't necessarily have to be you know, strong control, but to some extent that they do have some control here. I don't see any rejections off the top end here, so I don't think the sellers are really in control. I think actually, okay, we have some pretty nice rejections here though on the 30-minute. So we have a rejection off the point of control, possible rejection off the value high right here. Screen mine. But that's kind of it. Volume profile, there's nothing here. There's a nice rejection right here off the whole number. Okay, the 800 price point. Rejection off the resistance right there. So it kind of did what I was expecting earlier. So earlier right here, I showed you guys, I was like, okay, I want this to either happen and come back down, or something like this for price to come down and then come back up. So I mean, there's two scenarios here right now. It looks like price might just consolidate here for a little bit actually, between the support and resistance before it chooses its direction, right? So watch out for the movement here. It's either going to break down and continue back to the downside, or it's going to bounce off here and come right back above. There's a couple different scenarios here that can play through. We are getting some nice rejections right here though. So another rejection right there off this. So we had a rejection off the 800. So basically a retest of the rejection off that, breaking a retest off the 750. There's nothing here on volume yet. We have a nice rejection off the point of control up here, and then also possibly the value high or value low if it comes down any further. So we basically have two confluences, 30-minute confluence, 1-minute confluence off the whole numbers. And I guess we'll kind of see what happens here next. Rejection off the news price. Sell signal still hasn't closed yet. That's kind of one thing that I'm looking for there. The sell signal would be ideal because obviously you want the momentum to be confirmed. Looking over here at the trend bias. So 4 hours still bearish, 1 hour is bearish, 30-minute is still bearish, but it had that big push to the upside. Nice projections off the pivots here. The 10-minute over here, if we zoom in a little bit, let's just zoom into the 10. So if this stays below in the next couple seconds, we'll have a nice rejection off the pivot 4 right there, right? That'd be a nice confirmation right there. The 5-minute and 1 minute are still bullish, but they're trying to shift back to the downside. All right, so it looks like we might be getting a push down here. We have a sell signal come up. What I would like to see here a little further is I'd like to see price kind of dump down a bit, retrace, and then come back down further down here so that we can get that MPSV2 for a sell. If it doesn't come back, if it doesn't come down that far, then we have a whole bunch of red flags here, so it's not an area that I can trade in. So we just gotta wait. Sam said he's looking for a sell now or a setup. Let's see. So the market profile right here does have a nice rejection off the top end again right here. There's a rejection right there off the point of control. Again, like I said, this is going to be a tricky area to be trading in because we got the sessions right here. We got the news right here. The thing with the news prices is that they've already been triggered. So I might be okay with trading, past the news. Okay, so we got price pushing back up right here. So the sellers push price for a bit. Looks like the buyers might be back in control from right here. Which, I mean, ideally, I kind of want that to happen anyways. No confirmation yet, but looking like it might be the case here. If price does swing back up, there's no confluences to the upside yet. Aside from the clean chart right here, rejection off the bottom end. Off the 700 price point. We got rejections on both ends right here. Yeah, not enough confluences for the upside yet, which is fine. We don't even have a buy signal up yet, so nice rejection right there off the pivot. One thing to look out for, guys, the ATR is extremely high. 440 ATR again. It looks like the average ATR for this week was, around the 40s, maybe up to 50s in some senses. So these candles here are pretty big. I'm being a little careful. Yeah, Glenn said high impact news in 10 minutes. Yeah, we got news right here coming up at 7 o'clock. It's coming up shortly. Sam said, I do not see buyers trap yet, so waiting for price to get a bit higher, 42,840 around. Yeah, same here. That's why I'm waiting for that buy signal. So once that buy signal comes up, it's probably going to push price a little higher. I also don't see very many confluences here from the bottom end, so. I mean, there's some rejections here, basically a fake out off that value low. Buy signal again right there, it's having trouble. So this is the thing that I'm kind of worried about. See how these candles are really small, guys? The ATR is still high. So these small candles might just be temporary. Like you might get a few small candles and all of a sudden, boom, huge green candle or huge whatever candle comes up. I mean, it could be in your favor or it could be against you and straight to your stop loss, right? So you want to be a little careful, like with timing your entry. I think timing your entry is going to be a big factor here. I know people say you can't time your entries or like, it's almost impossible to time your entries, but realistically you can't. Because if you look at the size of the candles here and you confirm it, or you run it in confluence with the ATR, you're like, okay, these small candles don't make sense. Because how's the ATR at 40 and you're getting a 10-point candle right here, right? So something to keep in mind, guys. There's a lot of different factors when you're analyzing stuff. So just make sure to kind of use all of your knowledge, or use me at least my knowledge to your advantage, because I'm here kind of pointing things out. Yeah, we're getting a nice, if we get a rejection off the value low right here, I think the buying power might be pretty decent pushing back up, because it looks like this is the case right here. Here, let me kind of show you my analysis. This is the 1 minute market profile. So you have price come down below, rejection, fake out, and then basically a break and retest back up. So it's sort of like an inverted head and shoulders, but it has to reject off this point, and it looks like it's not going to. So if we don't get that rejection right here, that inverted head and shoulders is not going to be the case. And it looks like that's not going to be the case. We got news coming up shortly in about 5 minutes, guys. So here we are back down. So you guys can see the rejection here. Price rejected off the point of control, rejected off the value high. It's looking like the sellers are going to be back in control here, guys. 30-minute is showing that the sellers are starting to really push price down, and we're rejecting off these price points right here. One right here off the point of control, and then one right here off the value low. So we're using that in conjunction with our analysis here. On the 1 minute, we have the rejection off the point of control. So we do have some good rejections off the top end. So this is another MPSV2, but it's right at the sessions, guys. I mean, it's like I said, these entries are going to be very tricky because they're going to be around these areas that I don't want to trade at, right? This is and we have some nice confluences too. It's right at the sessions. We have news coming up right here in about 5 minutes. Rejection off point of control, rejection off value high or value low, rejection off point of control right there. Looking at the clean chart. So there's not a lot of rejections off these other charts, but there are rejections off the market profile. And I think it already hit CP almost. It's CP for 20 points already. So if you had your trailing stop like I'm doing, 20 points would have gotten hit already. And it's still dropping a little further. Looks like the 30 points got hit now. Yeah. So 2 MPSV2s came up today. They were right at the red flags. So it's a little tricky with, with regard to entries, but they did hit over here. So one MPSV2 hit right here, full TP for a buy. Another MPSV2 hit right here for a sell. We had the sell signal right here. We had a price push up, then it came back down on this candle, but unfortunately it was right at the sessions. So the entries are hitting. It's just they're at these red flags that I don't trade at because they don't fit my trading plan. And they're all getting marked up for 30-30. So some pretty nice entries right there. All right, 2 back-to-back wins right there for the MPSV2. Sellers back in control right here. We got news coming up in about 3 minutes, so I'm probably gonna hold off and wait. Brock's is setting up for bullish news. Let's see. Yeah, most likely. So the final services PMI was positive. The ISM services PMI is probably gonna be positive too. So price here might just come down for a bit, and then it just might swing, bounce off the open, come back up maybe. All right, so I'm going to reset this, and then now we're going to look for some more rejections. We have a rejection right here off the value low. We also have a rejection right here off the point of control. It's 2 rejections. Rejections on both ends. Rejection right here off the whole number, 600. Price looks like it pushed back up. Rejection right here off the support. A lot of confirmations here. Rejection off the support resistance. Rejection off the whole number right there, the 600. Top rejections here off the 30-minute. And rejection right here off the point of control. So, I mean, we'll see what happens here. We got news coming up in about 1 minute, guys. Price also rejecting off news. So I don't like this when there's a lot of different rejections on different ends, right? We got rejection off news price right there. Rejection off the point of control from the bottom. Rejection off the point of control and value high over here. Nothing on the volume profile. But this is what I do like. So depending on how this closes here, We have the rejection off the 600, possibly another rejection right here off the 650. This is basically a break and retest. But the thing with this as well is that we have news coming up right here shortly in about 15 seconds. So let's see. The news at 7:30 isn't as high impact. It's just crude oil inventories, but I mean, obviously it's gonna be useful. Yeah, huge candle right there. So yeah, bullish, just like we talked about. There you go, Barack. A huge buy right there. Yeah, that's pretty nuts. So yeah, I figured that was going to be bullish because I mean it's not even out yet, but oh there we go. It was bullish because the previous PMI was bullish too. So I mean it's easy to assume that that was going to be the case here. Bullish. Obviously they're both inflation news, and huge spike right there to the upside. We had the confluence here right here as well. It bounced directly off the point of control. Nice work, Sam. 7,500, 200 points there. All right, so this is the new 30-minute candle for point of control. Volume right there. So my confluences here worked out pretty nice. We had the rejection right here off the 600. And we had the rejection off the point of control. So you guys can see like these rejection points, they're very useful because I'm using different tools here to identify these rejection points. So I have confluences like on different ends. Again, right here, we have a rejection off the point of control. So if this is the case and price comes back down, we might be able to catch some sellers back on the way back down. But liquidity right there got hit. Sam got out at 42,849. Dang, right at the top, huh? Literally right at the top. All right, so huge candle right there off news. See, the thing is, I can't take trades like this off the hedge accounts because the slippage is gonna be crazy. So I can't really take. I was thinking about opening like maybe one of those other accounts like from a prop firm that's like not as reputable where I can take these bigger trades and not have to worry about blowing the account. So at some point in the future, I might do that because I do believe that these news events are going to have a bigger impact with Trump, being president, of course. If you guys remember, these same news events would come up when Biden was president and nothing would even move. Like we would never see any movement from ISM services. Like we'd see maybe the pre-market one, right? Like if we had like ISM that was pre-market at 5:30, we would see like the big spike sometimes, but like for these here, these are not typically the type of news events that give you these big spikes. This spike here is huge. Like this is abnormally huge for a live session, like a market open news event. Typically the news events during market open don't move that much. It's like they're like before there were only 3 news events that would spike like this, right? It's like it's a PPI, CPI, and NFP. But yeah, it's nuts. So one thing that you can look for here, guys, if price does push back up higher, is the MPS V2. If price closes above this black line right here, it could set up for an MPS V2. So what I'm going to start looking for here is I'm going to look for these bottom rejections. We have a bottom rejection right here off the value high. This is going to be tricky on the 30-minute though, because if price drops any lower, we have rejections again off the point of control and then possibly value high right here. We don't have any confirmed rejections here yet off the volume profile. We have a nice bottom rejection right here off the whole number right here, the 750. And we have a nice rejection right here as well off the support. So I'll be looking for price to break and close above this area right here, guys. If price does break and close above this black line, then we may have an entry for MPS V2. So that's what I'm going to be looking for right there. I'm going to be looking for. So I'll keep watching for it here. I mean, obviously, if we get a sell signal, let's flip to some sells. But right now, I'm going to be looking for price to continue climbing up higher from where it's currently at. Basically, a continuation for the news. Volume here is starting to slow down a little bit, but I got to pay attention to this here. So I'm going to keep watching for this to come up. If it does come up, I will be looking to take that buy. 30 seconds left on this candle. Yeah, like Brock said, it's he got the new highs. That's what I'm looking for. We still got liquidity sitting up here. Like I said this morning, guys, we had a lot of liquidity up here, right? There's a lot of liquidity that's still kind of hanging out up here. I think market's going to shake around a bit right here, and then eventually it's probably going to push up and then climb up here. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to stop out a lot of these people who are trying to chase the buys back up, right? Because I can only assume there's a lot of people who try to chase this buy here. They got in super late, and now they're trapped, right? The buyers are now trapped here. This thing dropped down about 80 points. So I do see the buyers trapped here. I'd be looking for it to break and close above the black line here, of course. And that's where I'm going to be looking to take my entry for the MPS V2. Seeing, yeah, it's still looking pretty good for the most part. Rejection of the value high. Price is pushing past the point of control here. 30-minute price is pushing past the point of control. Maybe on the next candle here. Candles are a little blocky. You can see here price pushed up and it came down at the last second. So let's see, this thing pushed down about like 20 points, 25 points. So yeah, I'm looking for price to close above this black line right here. Let's see, Brock's asking, what's that pink line around current price? That's news. Pink line is always going to be news, I believe. It was at 6:45 news right here, Brock. All right, we got 15 seconds left on this candle. I'm going to watch for it here. Again, it's going to have to like for sure close above it. If it doesn't, I'm not going to take that risk, but if it does close above it, be looking to take a trade here. And it looks like it's about to close, and I'm
order submitted. Order.
So let's see. Right there.
Order filled.
Here. See if the volatility continues to push. It's a little flat right now, but we'll see if it climbs up any higher from here. Let's take a look. Rejection right there. Off the value high. Price is pushing past the point of control here on the 30-minute. The only problem here on the volume profile is rejecting off the value high there. I mean, for the most part, it looks good. There's a lot of rejections on the bottom end, but the volume here is just a little, it's a little choppy for the most part. It's not very smooth. Kind of see how this next candle opens up. So we got price pushing. It's at that liquidity price point. It looks like it's trying to get past it, maybe knock through it and then go to the next level. But I'm watching it here to see where it ends up going. I got my stop loss and profit at 20. So let's see where that 20 is at. So I have an idea. So it might stop out.
Stop filled.
All right, unfortunately got stopped out right there. Like I said, the volume here is just, it's so unpredictable. It's like, it sucks. Because, so for example, here we had the really nice candle right here, volume. The candle here was big though. The thing is, we can't really avoid these big candles right now because of, I mean, every candle here is so unpredictable, right? We have the huge candle here, 200 points, 100-point candle, and then we have these smaller ones, and then we get this big one, and then for the entry right here, again, another small candle. So it's all good. Ate the loss on that trade, but I'll be looking to see if there's any other opportunities here. The problem here is the ATR is really high, right? So this is what I was worried about earlier when I was saying, the ATR here, you're going to get these unpredictable candles. So let me just move this real quick. I'll put it back on there. But see this candle right here? This like small doji candle? We went from having these big 200 to 100 to 20 point to 30-point candles, and then all of a sudden the volume just dies out. So that's all good. I ate the loss on that one. It's first loss for this week. We had a win on Monday, one on Tuesday, one loss today. So just gotta play through and see what we got coming up next. So we'll see what happens here next. But like I said, you got to be careful with the volume here, guys. We might have to start adjusting our TP stop loss a little higher because 53 ATR is. I mean, this is probably higher than yesterday. I know yesterday got to like 50, but I don't know if it got to like 56, 57. Yeah, Christian said candles are too big. I agree. It's all good though. So let me put this over here in the stats. I want to make sure all my trades are off. Okay. All right, looks like we're on to the next one. So with that said, I think the sellers are back in control from right here, and we will see what happens next. So let me put this over here real quick. We haven't had a loss in a while, so I'm trying to figure out where my loss thing was at. I'm just gonna copy one of the. Yeah, we haven't had a loss in a while since like I think our win streak's been running for a week now or so. There we go. And I'll put some notes here as well. So So yeah, a couple of things here. So I put the notes. Obviously a loss right here. Candle prior to entry was too large and the ATR was 57 points. So like let's measure this candle right here real quick. I mean, yeah, it was a 50-point candle. So I guess technically this could have been avoided, but it is what it is. That like you can't really think back and think of the what it could have should is. Again, the ATR is currently at 56, so it's very, very high right now. Each candle here is kind of is like it's very unpredictable. But if you look back over here, I mean, even this prior entry over here, the candle was also big. So it's going to be hard to get entries without these huge candles that happened prior because sometimes they're just going to be too big. Sometimes you just got to take the risk. So I think for me personally, I mean, depending on the entry, if it looks good, I'll take it, even though the candle's like really big. But for the most part, I mean, it's going to be really tricky here to be able to catch, what we consider like the really good entries. And it looks like we're going to be in some chop right here. So price is kind of chopping around a little bit around this area. Mark this up real quick. Oops. Need to mark that up there. Yeah, so it looks like we're getting some consolidation around this area right here now. So if you guys are just joining in, there's 3 entries that came up. Unfortunately, the one that I took lost right here. So this first one over here hit for an MPSV2. This one hit for an MPSV2. I was hoping for this one here to hit as well because I was like, okay, they trapped the buyers. Once they stopped them out, I was looking for price to push them back up and pretty much knock out the liquidity up here. But it looks like this area of liquidity is turning into a fake out area. Yeah, Sam said, LOL, you've been rolling with almost 100% win rate. Rare gem, good on you. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's really hard to keep up the consistency like that. So would be nice though, right? If we were able to continue it. I was hoping for the whole month in March, it'd just be like, or at least for like 1 week, it'd be like all wins. Because if I had all wins for 1 week of March, I'd reach my goal, of course, right? Which is to hit like maybe 100K this month. We'll see. It's got to bounce back from this one and then get back on that streak. Yeah, Jasper said in the really trending market movements, the rejections off the pivots have looked really pretty good. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The rejections do look pretty solid. That's why for this one over here, so I saw the rejection off the pivot right there, and I was like, okay, this looks like it could be a pretty nice solid push up because we had the rejection, rejection, rejection. And I was like, okay, the trend's going to continue. But then, obviously here it ended up pulling back. Looking at this here, we now have a sell signal, guys. So now that we have a sell signal, looks like price might be breaking out of this consolidation range. There may be an MPSV2 to the downside. The thing that you want to be careful for here again is like, all these red flags. We have the sessions right here. We have the news price down here. If this candle does close red though, this is going to be an MPSV2. So if you guys are looking to take that, this could have been, this could be a possible MPSV2. Let's see, PC said, where would they have stopped the buyers out? The closest low is at 42,592. So, I mean, this is a big drop right here, PC. Where wouldn't they stop them out? It's 100 points, right? I don't know anybody who uses more than 100 point stop loss. So like if you chase the buy here, if you're trying to chase the news, like say for example, you got in somewhere around the middle, right? Because that's usually what happens. People don't catch the bullish move until it gets to like the halfway mark or like somewhere down around the top. If you were to enter at any point here, I mean, I don't know anyone who has a wider than 100 point stop loss. Usually the 100 is like the threshold, I think, for a lot of people, even for like swing traders. 100 points is like the threshold. This was 120 points. So I mean, the buyers can have gone stopped out. Like, look at this green candle. See the huge wick? That looks like that was a stop out right there. Because it came in and pretty much grabbed the liquidity that was down there, and then it pushed right back up. So this is why I was like, okay, when price pushed up to this point, once the price came up, came down, huge wick right here. And then obviously, I mean, there's a lot of areas here where people could have gotten stopped out at. I'm sure you've chased like a lot of people here have chased news before. There's just a lot of areas here where people could have gotten stopped out at. Let's see, PC said candles that aren't that big aren't day traders though. What do you mean, PC? This was a news event. So like this over here, I mean, anyone could have chased this buy. Like Sam chased the buy there. He caught 100 points or 200 points on this one. So yeah, the retail didn't push price up right here. I'm just saying if retail chased this, they could have got stopped out here. Like, why wouldn't they? You can't really see. And if you look at, so I'm looking over here at the time and sales. Let's see. The time and sales over here was at, because I could see the smaller players too. It's not like I'm seeing like the bigger players. So this over here at this point, and we talk about this all the time at 7:07:01. So there were clusters of, it's actually be the bigger orders that would show that. So at 7:01 around that point, there's a bunch of cluster orders. I see 2 contracts, 7 contracts, 2 contracts, 17 contracts. See, for these right here, I'm seeing these as stop orders, not necessarily actual sell orders, because people don't usually put in like 2 contracts to get in the position. That's usually like their stop order because they average in, right? They put like a bunch of single orders, and then there's like, I mean, I wish I could show you, but it's right here on the time and sales. If you have the time and sales, you can pull it up. But that was a 7:01 candle right here, or 7:02 when it came down. So 2 contracts, 4, 2, 2, 2, 17, 2, 2, 7, 6, 4. Like none of these are like normal numbers. Obviously, if the big players are putting positions in there, they would be bigger contracts, like 100 contract orders. But we haven't had those big contract orders come in yet today. A lot of these are kind of just like, they're like random numbers. Because usually if you're chasing it, that's kind of how I would enter too. Like if I was chasing the news price over here, I would enter like maybe like 1 contract and I would just double, triple click it. And then if it comes down to stop me out, I'd be getting out like at 3 contracts. So anyways, the NPS V2 did run right here, guys. It's at the session. So if you guys did take it, I mean, it's currently running right now. All right, it already hit actually. So the NPS V2 did hit right here. So for today so far, there were 1, 2, 3, 4 NPS V2 entries. The only one that lost is the one I took, go figure. So these over here did play through. Win, win, win. And obviously this one right here lost. These are all at the red flags though. So we have this one over here, which was at the news price. This was at the sessions. This over here was at the news price, or sessions. And price is still continuing to drop from here. Yeah, no, same here, Shivam. Like the way that it's currently moving right now, I'm probably gonna hold off for a little bit at least. Or I might even be done trading today because there's just no consistency with the movement. If you look at the ATR right now, ATR is still at 53. So it's kind of fluctuating between like the high 50s to like the high 40s. That's a big fluctuation in these candle movements. If anything, I mean, bigger TP stop losses might have to be used. Like maybe, like even for example here, this could have been like a 50-50 instead of a 30-30 because the ATR is so high. So some adjustments might have to be made. I don't know like what's going to be the case over, the next couple of weeks or so, but yeah, I'm gonna have to see where this ends up. Because if this is the case and it's going to be at 50 ATR pretty much every day in that situation, then yeah, we're gonna have to adjust TP stop loss. But if this is only like this for the week because we have the tariff news going on, and say for example next week or the week after that we go back to the lower volatility, then in a situation like that, it's like no point in changing it. Kind of sticking to what we have and what we've been playing with right here. So I mean, it's a big range here. It's a really big range here. It's a 200-point range. So I mean, it kind of depends on where your stop loss is. Again, like I don't know who uses more than a 100-point stop loss. I don't know. Like if anybody, like obviously you could use a 100-point stop loss, but like on average, a person who's day trading is not going to use more than a 100-point stop loss. on average, people are usually trying to get those tight stop losses, right? They want to have like a 10, 20 point stop loss and then like a 50 point TP typically, because they want to go for that, 1 to 3, 1 to 2, or 1 to 4, 1 to 5. I'm just putting that in here, let's see. So if you're to do a 1 to 3, 100 point stop loss, that's a really, really big target, right? Which I mean is possible, but in this type of market, if it pulls back even just a little bit, like so I was just using this as an example, like if this was to be like your entry at for a momentum pullback or something like that. Or if you're using something like this, right? If you're trying to chase this right here, or a pivot scalp. Like in general, I wouldn't have the stop loss that wide. Let's see, PC says, so what kind of stop loss do long traders? There's not that many like for a day trader or a retail trader, they're not long-term traders for futures. Like, do you know how much the margin is to hold a position long-term? If you're paying margin on, like to trade YM on, obviously they're gonna have like no stop loss. I know long-term traders and swing traders, they have no stop loss. They just hold on to the position, and then once they see shifts in market, you would have it. But like, do you even have an idea of how much the margin costs to hold a YM position? It's a lot. For like one contract is like super, super heavy. There's no entries right now, guys, so you're not missing out on anything. But like here, I can pull up the margin for you guys. Ninja YM margin. It's way too much. Like to hold it over. We have big contract there, right there, 73. The thing is, we're not long-term traders, PC. We're looking at this from short-term trading. So I'm not sure what you're comparing here. Like the only people I know who are long-term traders for futures in general are like hedge funds. Our regular retail trader can't hold a position for YM like for more than a couple, like even a day or even a weekend. Like people don't hold trades like that for over a weekend, right? Because stuff like this will happen, the tariff news. Let's see. Where's the YM on here? Okay. So in order for you personally, and I'm just talking to you directly, because I mean, I guess people who hold positions like YM for that long. YM. So look at the margin right here. The maintenance margin is 500. Like right here, the initial is going to be 11,000. So for like one contract, that's a lot to hold on to. Look at this right here. 11,495. If you wanted to hold that overnight, you know how much money you'd have to have, like a pretty big account. Like, and we're talking about real money. I'm not talking about prop firms, because you can't hold prop firm. But like the whole reason prop firms don't let you hold positions overnight is because the margin's so expensive, right? So realistically, people are not going to be holding these. There's no day. The whole point of someone being called a day trader is because they try to get in and out within the day. If you're a long-term trader, you're gonna have like $100,000 account, $500,000 account, because you can hold on to that. But the thing is, like, you're gonna pay margin pretty much every day that you hold on to, or you're gonna pay interest on it. And then when you're in negative, you're paying interest on like a losing trade. So you lose a trade plus you pay the interest, then you're down like a whole bunch. So most people are not going to hold on to YM for that long. PC said, isn't Dow Jones based on the index in which people invest? So the thing, I think you're talking about something different, bro. Like we're trading YM here. We're day trading YM. If you want to trade something specific, you'll trade something like the spider, right? So if you want to trade S&P, you'll trade the spider. You're not going to trade YM like the future. You're talking about the ETF. So yours is like way different. For them, yeah, they're buying the dip and they're holding on to it. But I'm talking about a normal trader. Someone is not going to hold on to a position for more than 100 points, bro. Like that makes, like, for me right here. So for example, I take 10 contracts, right? Imagine me losing a trade at 100 points. times 5 times 100. You think I'm gonna hold on? And this is just like for like 5,000. For me to hold on to this, and you're like, oh, people are gonna hold on to this like longer. That's a big drop, like 200 points right there. That's gonna be 10,000 because 100 points is 5,000. And then even if I had $100,000 account, that'd be a 10,000 dip in my account or a 10% dip. That's a really big dip to be holding on to a position after like something like this. So, I mean, in general, people don't have stop losses if you're doing long-term investments. That's why I was saying like, the way that you're analyzing this is way different. It's not like for you personally, you can't have a prop firm and then just buy a position here and hold on to it. Even if it was one contract, you'd be hitting your daily drawdown limit, right? Because the thing is, like, your daily drawdown limit's like, I think 2,500. So even if you were to do one contract, and you can do one contract if you wanted to. If you want to do like one contract times 5 times 200, you're already at like 50% of your drawdown. So yeah, you're talking about long-term investing and just buying and holding. Those people don't have stop losses. I have a whole IRA account with specific stocks of YM. For that right there, I'm not selling anything. I was down like 7% yesterday, but I'm not selling it. I'm just holding on to it because I collect dividends on there. So yeah, your analysis that you're trying to compare the two is like way different compared to like day trading. Because when you're day trading, you're not going to have a stop loss that's super wide. We have news right here at 7:30, guys. It's crude oil inventories. It's medium impact. All the news is kind of around the same area. See all the news is kind of bunched up right here. So there's not really too much here to. I mean, you can't really take trades on because this would be all red flags, of course. Let's see. Barack is asking, is it possible to determine TP stop loss based ATR? I mean, you can, but the problem with that is that you have to have some sort of fixed contract size, right? Because the contract size varies a lot with YM. It was just like the math I did right here, Barack. So like, for example, like I'm doing 10 contracts, right? So if I'm doing 10 contracts times 5, and then my stop loss is at 30, I'm risking 1,500, right? So it's not like a huge amount or a huge big deal. And this is on my personal account. So this is how much you'd risk. But if you were to go from like, like 30 to 5, it'd be 10 times 5 times 100. And that'd be 5,000. So it multiplies pretty fast. So like if you wanted to adjust your TP stop loss based off the ATR, you'd have to have some sort of fixed contract size in mind. Like for example, if I'm looking to risk 1,500, I would have to like adjust my contract size super quickly. So I'd have to already know, okay, this is a 100 point move, so I'll do 3 times 5 times 100, and then I'm risking the same amount. I was doing 10 contracts, now I'm doing 3 contracts, but I'm still risking 1,500, so it's not as much. So just something to keep in mind with that specifically, but it's kind of a lot of work unless you have some sort of tool that will automatically calculate your contract size. The problem with YM is that it's not like what's it called? It's not like forex or indices where you can put like partials, like you can have like a 1.0 whatever. With contract size, it's just like 1 or 2 contracts, so it's going to make a huge difference depending on like what contract size you're using. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're trading with a forex broker, you could do that, but with futures, it's harder because it makes a big difference. Like you can see the I did the math here, like basically 3 contracts versus 10 contracts for 30 to 100 point TP stop loss, same amount of risk, but you're not going to be able to make adjustment. Like you can't adjust just 1 or 2 contracts. You have to make a really big adjustment to equate to the same amount. Anyways, guys, I know we're kind of going off topic and talking about like contract size and stuff, but there's no entries here, so don't worry. You guys are not missing out on anything here. We're right in the middle of the sessions and the news price, so there's nothing for us to take here at the moment. We had a buy signal come up right here, price pushed up, never came up and provided an MPS V2. We had a sell signal come up right here, and we had it confirmed for an MPS V2, but It was right at news price, and it was right at the upcoming news event that happened right here at 7:30. So no entries here specifically. We got another buy signal right here. So we have price pushing up. With this buy signal coming up, we can look for a possible opportunity for a buy here. Let's see if there's any confluences from the bottom end. So we do have some rejections right here off the value low. The only problem right here is that we also have a rejection off the value high right here. So we have two, or this is a value high on both ends. We have a rejection off the bottom end, a rejection off the top end. Looking at the point of control right here, we do have some rejections off this top point. Some rejection off the point of control, also rejection off the value high right here. Looking over here at the volume profile, we have one rejection off the bottom end right here, which is a point of control. So we have a couple rejections off the bottom side. So it might be looking good for a possible buy here. So we have rejections right here off the value. I mean, it's rejecting off two ends though, so it's definitely a little bit of a, it's gonna be a little tricky because you have the rejection right here off the value low, have another rejection off the value low off the top end. Obviously, you want to look for reasons to take a trade here. So I think the main thing to look for is look for this buy signal here to close first. Once it closes, then we'll look for some confluences from the bottom end, because that's the entry that we're going to be looking to take here, obviously, right? So price push down from this area over here. Then we had buyers back in control from this point. We have the buy signal here that's currently pending. And looking at this right here, we currently have, all right, we have the buy signal. So now that you want to look, what you want to look for is, so there's a couple of things here that I would personally like to see. See how we have a red candle right here? I would like to see price come up, retrace, reject off this value low, and then possibly come back up. Right. So I'm looking for that rejection right there, which is coming up. We do have some pretty good confluences. Rejection right here, or rejection off the pivot plus buy signal. Rejection off the value low. Rejection off the value low right here as well. Rejection off the volume profile. And lastly, over here on the clean chart, no rejections right now. But if this does close a little bit higher, possible rejection off this whole number here, which is a 700. So if you guys are looking to take this entry here for an MPSV2, you want to look for this here to close in above this black line. So basically close above the black line. And MPSV2 for a buy here. ATR is currently 46 points. So with that there being the case, yeah, with that being the case right there, you can kind of see where this will push from. I mean, you have to wait for it to close above. This candle has about 10 seconds left on it. Probably not going to be on this candle, maybe the next one. You just don't want price to be touching the sessions here. So if price is touching the sessions, it's considered a red flag. Right? So the MPSV2 is starting to set up right here. I guess the only thing to really look out for is if the candle's too big again, kind of similar to what we got dealt with earlier over here. Pushed up about 15, 16 points there. Candle's got 30 seconds left on it. Yeah, CJ said for the past couple of weeks, I've been coming back after lunch and getting smoother entries. That candles and ATR are just too crazy. Yeah, right now they're definitely way too crazy. All right, so there's an entry coming up here, guys, but it's gonna be a red flag. So obviously I'm gonna hold off on it. It's gonna have to cut into the sessions, right, or the news price right there. So if you guys are taking it, I just marked it up for you guys right here. I'll follow it for you guys, but again, like I said, it's kind of just like a tricky area right now where it's at, because the red flags are always in the way. It's a red flag that's right there. This is probably gonna hit though, and it did. all the entries that hit today are at red flags. The only entry I took that wasn't at a red flag, I mean, it wasn't at a red flag, but it was at liquidity here. It was, it's just, I would just call it bad luck at this point. This was kind of, so I did violate one of my rules that I don't necessarily look at it as much anymore. So if you guys remembered, I said, I don't take trades 10 minutes before news before or after. This entry right here was at 7:08, so it was like, it still didn't meet that criteria of 10 minutes before or after news. So I mean, that's the only thing I can think of getting caught up in this, like, because it looks like what happened here is price range between the news candles. See how price kind of came down from this news candle, and then it came right back up. So if you look at it from here, price still hasn't broken out of this news candle area. So this is the top of the news candle, and this is the bottom of the news candle. Usually what I try to look for here is I look for price to react to news, and then I wait for price to either correct or continue from where the news event was. So like, for example, right here, before 10 minutes before and after, we try not to trade around here because we don't want to be caught in like the pre-news manipulation. News will get manipulated before and after. And man, every entry's been hitting, but it's like at these red flags. I think so in the future, just like looking at like these news prices, if the news prices have been retested already. So for example, like this news event was right here, right? For I think this was the 7 o'clock news event. Since it's already been kind of played around with in this area, in a situation in the future, possibly okay to take the entry. If it's already been like, I guess we would consider it invalidated, but it is what it is. So solid right there. Yeah, Brock City skipped it. Too many supply zones there. Nice. Jasper caught the trade too. Nice work, Jasper. CJ said it's crazy because I noticed that the MPS V2s usually do hit or near red flags, but when Sean takes an entry, he decides not to hit it. I know, right? It's crazy. It's like, it's bad luck. I think I should just not say when I'm taking the entry, especially when it's like right here at the sessions, because I've marked up all the entries for today, guys. Like literally, how many entries here hit today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 entries total. 4 of them hit TP. The only one that wasn't at the red flag didn't hit, but everything else hit. So yeah, Kyle said that stream sniping me. I know it sucks, but it's okay. I'm glad you guys are profiting on those trades. That's why I still mark them up, because even though I'm not taking them, it's still an opportunity for them to be taken if you guys want to take them there. But yeah, they look good so far for the most part. Yeah, Jasper said he uses the directional movement index indicator, and it was showing strong bullish, so we took it. Nice. Yeah, it's always good to have your, more tools on top of that as well. Yeah, Christian said there was also one at 627, the red one, right? Yeah. So this is what I mean about it being kind of tricky when because there was one right here that happened at news event, but this was right before the other news event too, Christian. So I think this would be one that, even though it was touching news, I still would have avoided it because there was news here at 7:30. It was the crude oil inventories. Oh yeah, and thanks, DJ. So guys, just a heads up, Apex, they just extended their promo. So I think it's until March 13th. So if you guys want to want to get another Apex account, I mean, right now is the best time because the promo is like 80% off, I think. So if you guys want to use it, just go to the Discord, go over to funding companies, or if you guys want me to post this up in the chat, I can send it to you guys. This is the admin code. So using this off, it'll give you like whatever the highest discount is, but the promo is running for another, it's running until for another 8 days. So 80% evals, and I think 1 day pass and whatever. It's just getting extended for another week or so. Yeah, so if you guys want that link, just go to the Discord, click on this link and use this code JJNIEOWR in all caps. It'll give you whatever the highest discount is for that one specifically. So we have another trade here coming up, guys. It's a possible MPSB2 for a sell. We had a sell signal, retracement, if it comes back down further. This right here could be the possible push down. Let's see, PC said, YM moves the same as DJI. I base my analysis off of what the big players are doing, what they're buying and selling, and why they're buying and selling. To me, it's more realistic than worrying about what the small players are doing. Yeah, no, the thing is, I don't care about what the small players are doing. I'm not interested in what the small players are doing either. Like, the whole point of looking at the analysis here is looking at what's getting, like, how are the small players getting manipulated and how are they getting stopped out? Because the thing is, if they're getting stopped out at certain areas and you see a correction, like for example, price is climbing right here, right? See how price pulls back? This is enough to stop someone out, right? So if the retracement here is a certain amount, you know, like 100 points, 50 points to 100 points, this is enough to identify, okay, the retracement is done. They're getting stopped out. We're not looking at what the retail is doing here. We're looking at what the big players are doing. That's the whole point of market profile, right? Because you can see here that this is kind of where the big players are moving. Like that's the whole point of us using the market profile here. The value low is where, you know, the retail is pushing, but the thing is the big players, they want price to be, this is their dip area. That's why we're using these as rejection points. Like you can see here, this is literally what the big players are doing. Because it shows you what all the orders are doing. This doesn't just show you what retail is doing. This shows you what every order in the futures market is doing, right? They're pushing price down here to the value low. This is why I'm saying when price comes down to these points, it comes back up, and then it comes right back to the point of control. Because this is where everybody wants to trade at, right? Not just the retail, but the big players. They think this is the discount price. They think this is overpriced, but fair value is right here down the middle. So that's the whole point of using market profile. Like, you know, we never look at what small players are doing. We're looking at what the big players are doing, and then we're taking trades in the direction of the big players. That's why earlier I took the buy because price was pushing down to the value low, and I was looking for that to push up from here because it was bullish. But what happened there was we still got caught in the retracement, and then it came right back up. That's why I like for right here, the entry. See like how I got caught up over here? This was like all based off news for the most part. Like price came up. Obviously, this was a news candle. Price pushed up from here, bounced off the this area, and then it came back down, and now it's pushing back up. So yeah, for the most part, we don't necessarily look at I'm not looking at like I don't think anybody ever looks at what the small players are doing. The small players don't move the market. Like they can't move the market. It's not possible. Like these you know, these little contracts, like even like 100 contract moves, they're not going to move market at all. It's like the bigger contracts, like once they're all added up into like a big 1000 block, then at that point, then they'll maybe push price up slightly. But these 100-point orders are not going to move price enough to really make these big moves. They'll maybe push price around a little bit, like, you know, like a like maybe a 10-point move or a 15-point move or even a 20-point move, but like not enough to. Like these candles are huge. So obviously all of these candles here are not the smaller players. Anything that's like bigger than like a 50-point candle is not going to be retail. It's going to be the institutions, of course. Because you need a lot of contracts to move these around. And the thing is, the price of like everything follows the futures for the most part. Right? The futures market is usually what leads everything. So like you said, you follow DJI. If you look at the DJI price and you look at the futures price, the DJI price is probably going to follow futures. Same with like the spider. Spider is just the index that follows S&P 500. S&P 500 is ES. So if you look at ES, if you look at this and you compare it to spider, this is going to move before spider does. So just keep that in mind, guys. I mean, the futures are always going to be, they're not always going to be leading, but for the most part, they're going to be leading. Because these cost more to trade, so like the people who are trading this are the big players that are like actually moving price. And then of course, if you want to go to those smaller indexes, like the DJI isn't even like what is the DJI? It's not even, what is that, a stock index? I mean, there's a futures, but I don't think there's an index called I guess there is, but this is like, I don't think this is considered indice. Yeah, because I don't think there is a DJI. There's DJI-A, which is a feature, which is similar to YM, but it mirrors YM. So I mean, everybody has their own analysis, right? That's just I'm just kind of trying to put the obvious out there. We're not following the smaller players. We are following the bigger players. That's kind of where the market profile is coming from. Rev said, Sean, what's the indicator that shows what does ING value mean, Rev? If you're talking about this right here, this is market profile. So for the market profile, I think you're trying to, I think that might have been a typo for ING. Yeah, Sam's a good example is an entire news candle to trace for the big players to get in for a discount. Yeah, 100%. And that's what I saw right there too. I mean, we're looking for those discounts, right? We're looking for price to kind of push up, come down, and then look for the continuations. But yeah, Sam, if you're talking about this right here, this is a market profile. It's called TPO, so it's the market profile is time or time opportunity, time price opportunity. It's based off time. So like it doesn't normally look like this. I just set it up to look like this, so it's a lot cleaner. But it usually shows you like what all the orders are coming in from. So if I put the blocks and letters over here, you could see, and I turned off the volume, but if you wanted to put that there, this is like what the tool would typically look like. Like what it does here is like these letters will establish like a 30-minute block. So 30-minute block is like where everybody's trading. And then this green area right here is the point of control. This is like usually like the main area of like where people have been trading. That's why it's called point of control, because that's like where not where retail is trading, but like where everybody's trading, right? If this is considered where everybody thinks price should be, this is going to be the point of control. And that's why I use that there as a tool to identify, but you don't need these other things like the volume and stuff. You don't need it because I already know the point of control is going to show me the middle. And then same with the letters over here. The letters will show you like where all the movement's happening down the middle. But because I use the point of control, it's like not necessary because I already know this is where all the movement's actually happening. You know, right down the middle. Let's see. Jasper says slightly hesitant to share because I don't want to jinx it. Yeah, I want to read it out loud, Jasper, so I'll just read it to myself where I was trying to link you. Oh yeah, no, I've seen that too. The yeah, the reversal indicator works really, really well in the higher time frame, Jasper. I've done it, I've used it before too for the same specific reason. It's pretty nice because the way that it because it doesn't go off the chart, right? So like once you have it on the chart, it's like you already know it came up there. So yeah, no, it does work very well in the higher time frames, especially on like assets that range, like something like forex or even like normal assets like gold and stuff like that. But yeah, I know what you're talking about, Jasper. I did look at it before. I used to use that for my signals. When I used to call signals a long time ago, guys, I would use the reversals to identify possible entry points. But like you said, the bigger moves are able to withstand those trades a lot more or a lot better. Let me go back over here real quick. So the MPS V2 came up right here, guys. I think some of you guys did take it. I saw you guys mention it right there. Sell signal. The main issue with this here is that it was, I mean, it pretty much ate up all the red flags right here, all the news price. And it's crazy. Yeah, price just keeps eating up all these all the red flags basically. And it's rejecting directly off those points. Yeah, sounds amazing how lower price of news is a support for all buying that. That's what I was thinking too, like this whole area right here. So let me clean this up. If you just use the news price or just use the news candle right here as like your range. See, because price is just ranging between the news candle right here. It still hasn't really gone out of this area. This is the news candle from 7 o'clock. Price has kind of been ranging between this area, but the news price down below is acting as a very, very strong support. Like it's crazy how strong of support it is. All right, Shivami, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm done trading today too. Just gonna finish up the analysis and I'll be done with this. Nick is asking if the reversal indicator is part of this. Yeah, it is. All of my tools here and my indicators that I use are part of the subscription. I also, if you guys want to understand how to use market profile better, I explained it in the previous mentoring session. So if you guys want to understand how this is used and how I set up the tool, just go to the YouTube channel. YouTube channel is youtube.com/Kodi Kai trades, and then go to live, or you probably see it right here. So the most recent mentoring session. Just go here to live. The mentoring session from February 25th. This was like about an hour 22 mentoring session. I covered how to use the market profile in detail. So if you guys want to understand how I use it, I don't use it for entries. I use it just for I use it mainly to identify balances. So I look for balance points using the market profile, and then I use my actual reversal indicator and stuff like that to identify entry points. So they're all kind of used in conjunction with each other, but it's not a standalone tool. So if you guys want to learn how to use that, I did explain it in detail in that mentoring session. I know some of you guys here are going to try to use it as a specific like for your strategy. But the thing that you want to be careful for is like don't fall into that hole. Because I've seen a lot of people who like you see something that looks good like at one point, but if you do some research on market profile, everybody that I talked to who successfully used it, they don't use it as a strategy. They just use it for balance points, and then they have a different strategy like price action or like what I use here. My strategies are basically price action to identify where your actual entry should be happening. So just something to keep in mind. But yeah, the reversal tool is very useful, especially if you're using them in conjunction with other things like like with what Jasper was mentioning, like if you go on the higher time frames, see they're pretty strong. Like on the 4-hour right here, you have a V1. Or whoops, I wasn't trying to show you. Let me go back to the 30-minute. Let me go to a clean chart over here real quick. Reversals. I'll turn off the levels. Yeah, if you're on something like the higher time frames, like specifically the V1s, right? V1 right here. Like this could be a huge stop loss kind of tight around 100. Like these could be really big moves. I mean, they don't have to be that big, but see again right here, another V1. I wouldn't go for the V1 engulfings. I'd mainly just go for the V1s. Again, pretty decently tight stop loss, either 100 or 200. I mean, depending on the volatility, if it's very high, you can go for like stuff like that. Again, these are V1s, but they're also engulfing. I'd probably stick away from these because they're a little tricky. And again, it just depends on the market structure. So, I mean, again, I wouldn't use this by itself standalone. I would use it and then maybe turn on the trend meter or something. Only take the trades in the direction of the trend, right? Like only when the market's trending. So market is trending up right here. So obviously you probably only look for buys. Market is trending down right here. So you'd look for sells, of course. Like my whole way of analyzing stuff is I use like basically 3 different things. I use momentum, I use pretty much rejections like these V1s, and then I use trend. Those are the 3 things I mainly use. You can use other things too, but for the most part, I mean, that'll usually give you a pretty good strategy. You just have one tool or one indicator to show you trend, one tool, one indicator to show you rejection points, and then one tool, one indicator to show you momentum. If you put those three together, you can put it together a strategy pretty easily. And basically a trend following type strategy or a reversal or continuation type strategy. There's just a lot of different ways to do it. All right, so don't really see too much here. I think Barack sent in his profits earlier. I forgot to save it. Let's see. So here are Barack's profits for the day. All right, so Barack's profits right here for the day. He's up 7,887. He had a couple of wins here and a couple of losses, but for the most part, Barack ended the day in profit. So nice work right there, Barack. Lock in some pretty good profits. Question for, let's see, Nick said, does the V1 print after the candle close? It prints while it's active, and then if it closes, then it'll show. But if it doesn't close, then it'll disappear. So like for that specific strategy, you want to wait for it to actually close. So like for example, this over here was an engulfing. If it pushed up, it would have disappeared. But then once it closes, it's there forever. Like it doesn't go away. So yeah, it doesn't repaint if that's what you're asking. It stays on. So usually if you're looking for those types of those candles, you want to wait for it to actually close. And then once it closes, then at that point you're like, okay, I can take the entry. Because before we used to apply the strategy but without the indicator, but like I like it that it doesn't repaint. So I coded it to the point where it doesn't repaint because I want to see how the actual V1s work, right? These V1 variations. I'm like, I want to see them when they come up and how they actually close versus having to go through and like, oh, this was a V1 or this was a V1, and then kind of skew your back testing because it's not there. But for the most part, once the indicator closes, it's done and it doesn't repaint. So you'll know what loses and what wins. Let's see if there's anything else here for me to see real quick. Oh, there was an MPS that was right here. So there's a bunch of MPSs that are coming up, guys. There's another one that came up right here, buy signal. This one right here was the confirmation candle. So buy signal, retracement, confirmation candle. And another TP right there. I mean, it depends on what you're using. So like if you want to use the normal 2020, the ATR is actually dying down right now. So the normal 20 is probably better than the 30-30. So before the ATR was at like 57, it's now at 37. So it's probably a better time to just go back to your regular TP stop losses versus the big ones from before. Let's see, CJ said, I also noticed that if you take every single MPS V2 from 930 to 230, you'd average 4 or 5 total wins even after the losses. For example, 7 entries will come up, but no more than 2 or 3 will lose. Yeah, and I noticed that too, CJ. So like if you want to change it up and do like a 1-to-1 or even do a 1-to-2 risk reward for your MPS V2s, and if you can be online like all day, like what CJ said, if you're online all day from market open up until later, you'll probably end up, for the most part, you'll end up in profit regardless of the fact, because they're usually going to hit for the most part. And most of the time they push even further than what they normally do. Like for example, over here, if you wanted to do like a 1-to-2, I probably want to do a 1-to-2. 60 is kind of far. I guess if you did a 40-20, 1-to-2, I mean, in the long run, it'll play, right? You might have a couple losses here and there, but for the most part, in the long run, they'll hit more than they don't, of course. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. The thing with this strategy, guys, is that when it hits, it hits, and it usually doesn't go into drawdown at all. But when it does go into drawdown, it loses. So like you can see over here, all of these entries, if you did a 1-to-2, full TP, loss, but this is the only one that went into drawdown. This one over here, full TP, full TP, no drawdown, etc. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Yeah, exactly. Christian said I would lower risk if you're going to get a lot of entries to have more space for losses. Yeah, and I agree with you too, Christian. For me personally, the way that I'm geared and the way that my brain is wired is that I don't like to lose trades, right? So like usually if I lose one trade, so for example, I lost a trade over here, right? This is usually a cutoff for me for the day. I'm like, okay, I just need to stop trading because if I keep trading, I'm gonna screw up and I'm gonna do worse. So for me personally, I usually just stop trading if I'm ever at a point where I think it's gonna mess with my trade psychology, to say the least. Which it does. So for me, I just try to keep it with higher risk, but more quality entries and lesser entries. Let's see, Sam said the big players miss the discount price due to a quick impulse. They cause the retrace the news and slowly fill their orders. Just my thought, other way of trading news. Yeah, and I agree with you too, Sam, 100%. That's usually what I see because they try to fill it a little later, as price gets down, because they try to get in at the lower discounts. Because like looking over here at the market profile, guys, again, the market profile, it really shows you um where price is likely to maybe bounce off from. Like for example, like for this right here, I'm pretty sure price bounced off here and then it goes right back up. Same with the price getting above the point of control. The thing with this is that the point of control here is different from where it was prior. And it's a little bit more messier. But what I can see here is, price can possibly get down a little lower. If it drops any lower from this point, possibly get down to here and then bounce back up. But again, I don't take entries off here. Like I don't have a pending buy limit just hanging out here, like waiting for this to come down and then try to ride this up. I typically will look for price to maybe bounce off it and then take my entry somewhere down the middle over here. Let's ride this back up further. But all right, guys, it is 8:06. It's after our trading time. Unfortunately, I took a loss for the day, but here I'll take a screenshot of all of the entries that came up today so that you guys can see. A lot of entries played out. There's another MPSV2 that's actually running right now, it looks like. Yeah, it's currently running right now. But I will take a screenshot of everything here. It looks like this one's gonna hit again. Man, what's my luck today? I had horrible luck today. It looks like literally every MPSV2 is hitting except the very one that I took. But it's all good. I'm glad some of you guys here did lock in some profits and you guys did pretty well. I'll go ahead and put this over here real quick. Live session. How many were there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 wins, 1 loss. All right. I just put that there right now so that you guys can we just have it documented basically. Send it to the team chat. All right. Yeah, this one here looks like it's about to play through. Yeah, CJ said I purchased an eval account to test it out and see how fast I can pass. The MPS is way better than that market flow V2 in my opinion. And if you know me, I love that strat. Yeah, no, 100% CJ. The thing with this too is that this is easier to follow, right? The criteria and the requirements for this specific strategy is a lot easier to follow versus the market flow V2. Because the market flow V2, you're kind of looking for price to retrace and retest it, which it does work. I mean, it did work pretty often. But this one's way easier to follow. And there you go, another full TP right there, guys. God, every entry today hit except the one I took. Yeah, I'm 7 entries today too. 7 wins, 1 loss. So it's all good. Hopefully tomorrow this continues and I don't end up catching that one loss that happened like today. I think tomorrow will be better. Let's see the news for tomorrow actually. So tomorrow's Thursday. We got jobless claims, 4-week average, continuing jobless claims pre-market. And then I think we're pretty much good for the actual live session. So everything, we have news pre-market, but other than that, we have pretty much a good day ahead of us for tomorrow. So, all right, guys, I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I think this is it for the day. Yeah, CJ said I'm going to set my contract size the same way I set my PAs. 7 wins, 1 loss, happens every day. Exactly, right? So it becomes a numbers game at that point. But yeah, like I said, if you did like a 1 to 2 right here, 20-point stop loss, 40-point TP. I mean, you would average out pretty much long term. It's just right now we have a lot of entries, and like before we didn't have a lot of entries, so I was looking for like maybe that 1 or 2 entry a day. But now that we have more entries coming up, what CJ mentioned, it's more viable because you can kind of take a bunch of entries and pretty much average them out. But all right, guys, I guess that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I will see you guys back here.